Okay, so this is part 3, I think. Okay, so integral science. Last time we were talking about how evolution is exponential and not linear, which solves the problem of modern philosophical movements, which argue that there is no greater direction in anything. Ancient sciences were backwards. They were simplistic. They had too many frameworks and ideologies. They overgeneralized everything. It's much more complex than that. Well, modern philosophical movements such as integral theory, integral philosophy, and integral social sciences have kind of answered that. They've kind of said, well, yes, it's very complex, but it's not too complex, because if we take a different direction, we try to see how we go into the different perspectives, and we kind of see how they're connected. We can kind of see some general bigger tendencies that two things that seemingly oppose each other share. Now, in a way, they've done this with how we see societies evolve and the nature of human societies. They've kind of said, all right, the modernist view that society is linear and directional towards some kind of positive development or growth was only partially true. They knew this to be true. They intuited some kind of greater complexity, but for the wrong reasons, for the wrong ideologies, and they're very Western or Eurocentric. They are very simplistic in their ideology. It wasn't the case, and relativism, existentialism, postmodernism kind of broke it all down, reinterpreted it, and unfortunately, due to the focus in postmodernism to just tear things down, they weren't successfully able to see what we can work with for a bigger picture. And that's okay. I mean, it was the time, and these thoughts were never posited before. I mean, not in great numbers. So postmodernism broke down modernism, and now we're kind of in a postmodernist age, where it's like, yes, we know everything, all this is relative, but come on, we gotta navigate somehow. Let's at least work with some framework and kind of see some kind of underlying meaning. But reconciling the understanding of relativism. So in other words, we know there's a bigger picture. We know it's not simple. And we understand that things are very complex and very organic and not so cookie cutter. We're not in a cookie cutter framework in reality. It's so much more dynamic than that. But then let's have a dynamic, bigger picture. Maybe there is one. And if the sciences are any example, then it is true. There is a bigger picture. I mean, here's another example, a great one. The models of the universe have evolved over time as our understanding of the universe has evolved. For a while, we thought it was, if you look at ancient, what's it called again, philosophies of the universe and how it looked, and it was very strangely, it was Newtonian. It was very orderly, very simplistic, used Newtonian physics to operate, and in reality, we knew this was not true. I mean, we kind of figured out that it's much more complex than that. The Earth is not the center of the universe, nor is our galaxy. So we kind of decentralized everything in a way. The same sort of thing happened to astronomy. We decentralized everything, and cosmology. But recently, we've been able to have enough data to generate a computer-generated model of the universe, and all of a sudden, out of this seemingly chaotic and random mess of galaxies and clusters of galaxies and dark matter and dark flow and all this, we suddenly have a very structured universe. And in fact, let's see if I can get a picture of it on my phone, iPod Touch. Simply because I'm just too lazy to attach this to a video. This is a quick capture video. Let's see. It's very interesting. So if we can create a, oh, okay, there we go. Maybe it's not gonna work. There we are. If you can see it, maybe not. Can you see it? Is it too bright? It's probably too bright. There we go. This is the structure of the universe. It's very, very, how to say it, very structured. It almost looks like a neuron, a cluster of neurons in the brain. So, out of seemingly random chaos of stars and galaxies, which didn't seem to have some kind of greater underlying pattern, we suddenly realized does. And it doesn't make things easier for us. It actually makes it more difficult because we have no way to understand what this greater pattern is. We just know that it exists. So in the same way, the integral sciences are doing that with societies and cultures and directions. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to see the bigger picture. And if empirical science is any example, that there are underlying themes to things, there are greater pictures and meanings to things, which is not necessarily what's it called again? It's not exactly so dated as one might think. The relativists would probably say this is bullshit and call our bluff and say that, oh, this is obviously not true. We have no way of knowing. Empirical matters are one thing, but cultural and human matters are another. To a degree, they're correct. We can't exactly look into some kind of introspective Hubble Space Telescope and see something like that. But we can do something similar by taking many of the traditions and many of the cultures and seeing if there is a developmental path. Because this is from A Sociable God. This is from Ken Wilber's work. It's very good. I recommend reading it for any scholar who's into this psychology, sociology, anthropology, any of that stuff. And even if you're just interested in religion and how it works in society, very good book. Basically, one method for reconciling, for trying to create a framework in which we can relate two relative points of view together, is developmental logic. And that's just it's a fancy word for saying everybody goes through stages of development. And if you can demonstrate that, then you have something more universal to work with, because then you can sort of say, all right, look at this society. What is their general what is their general tendency going towards? What kind of level of development are they at? And act accordingly. And it also reconciles different philosophical viewpoints. For instance, in one of my other videos, I was talking about how many atheists see religion as a product of primitive societies. That's true, but spirituality is not just primitive product of a primitive society. It also has very much deeper, complex, and mystical aspects to it, which are, quite frankly, more developed and subtle, esoteric, and they can't be written off so simply, because they're not just a belief. Instead, they're a direct experience, and then there are different levels of depth to those experiences. Just like a human being, individually, has different levels of depth to their psyche and how they interpret the world, and you can enhance it and enhance it or enhance it or whatever you want to say, but we have sort of a general stages of personal psychological development. The key now, and this I feel like it should be debated more so than just anything else. The key now is to try to find a good model or a good developmental map. And we can't do this by looking down at a society. We have to kind of wash away the framework and then try to see what's naturally there, what's organically there, much like we're doing with evolutionary science. So can we apply this, can we make social sciences integrate what we're doing in other sciences? And that's the big question.